Ann Cornick from Paint and Porcelain Exchange, and I'm here to help beginners get started in China painting. And for those of you that have been painting a while, I'm hoping to give you some new ideas and things that you can paint along with us and help out our beginners. And today we're going to be doing koi. Now, koi can be a very intricate fish. I've seen it done with every single scale painted, and that's not the purpose of this class. This class is for beginners and for people who maybe just want to paint for fun. And so we're going to try to keep it very simple for you. It's only going to take 2 fires. It's really going to turn out beautiful. And I think you're going to be real happy with the results. I took a picture of what I took to the mall, and this is it. And this is the final result. It was an ashtray. You can see on this side it had 1 place for a cigarette, and on this side it had 2. And it was concave so that this really looked like fish swimming in a little pond underneath it. So that's what inspired me to do the koi fish. Colors for today. I've got a lot of colors, but basically what you need is a light blue, medium blue, and a dark blue. And I kind of like them on a more turquoisey bit, you know, more turquoisey than that, but that's just me. So it's up to you. You're going to need a yellow, like a canary yellow, something that's rich, sunflower yellow, egg, something that's real rich, or an orange yellow if you have it. You're also going to need a light and dark, a medium and a dark green. You're going to definitely need an orange. If you don't have an orange, you can use a yellow red, I think, but it will change the look of your fish. He won't be as orangey as you might like him to be. So here's what I have. I have transparency, which is actually a portrait color. And I have carnation, which is my red, which I've added to orange occasionally, to my orange occasionally to get it darker. But I would say most oranges, unless you're using this orange here, right here, which is South Brown by Paula White, don't stand up to that very well. This is black. You'll need a green, a moss green. I have Celestial here. Baby blue would work. Shading blue would work. No, what is it? Cool shadow would work. I also am using, this is Russian green. If you can get it, fine. I don't know that it's widely available, but see how pretty and turquoisey green it is? If you add that on the second coat to the water, it just makes a huge difference. I have my South Brown that we talked about. I also have my egg. I finally found egg. I went through and cleaned out all my paints, and lo and behold, I had egg. There's a Copenhagen blue. For those of you that don't have a dark blue, you could use a Copenhagen blue on the first coat. However, I'm using navy. I like navy. Or blue-black is a little too flat for this. Navy has a little perk to it. Here's my orange-yellow, which I am using for the faces of some of the fish. And then I have these 2 colors. Now, this is like a deep blue-green. It's called Tahiti. It's one of Paula White's colors. And this is one of her colors. And I can't pronounce it, but it's Cerulean. And it's really beautiful. And it's kind of a more blue than anything else. You probably could use cobalt in place of it. So I'm just trying to give you some suggestions. We're going to start with the water first. The other things you're going to need are, you're going to need some brushes. You're going to need a brush that gives you a smooth background. I like this one. This is my Filbert. It's a size 16. Then you're going to need a couple just to paint in the orange and the yellow on the fish. And so I have a 1/2 inch and a 1/4 inch, this one, which is a scroller. I have my little Pico-Pay, and I have a regular wipeout tool here with the 2 sides like that. I tend to use this side more, but you might also want to invest if you haven't. You can get these at Amazon if you can't get them close by. You can get about 500. And the pointed Q-tips, because one of the things we're going to do, and let me just show you in this, we'll probably do it both on this coat and the next coat, is you're going to put these lines. Can you see the lines? There's a few here, there's one there, there's one over here, in the water, to give it a motion, a feeling of motion. On the first coat, we're not going to put all the colors on the lily pads or plants. My lily pads don't really look like lily pads, so just consider them water plants. This one. So you're going to start, I normally would have started with the fish, but yes, the background is a better idea because it will define the edges of the fish. So I take and start with the lightest color. The lightest color will be in the middle, and then as you go out to the edges, you're going to go into dark colors. So I'm going to start with my lightest, which is Celestial that I have. And I picked this color because it has a lot of really pretty turquoisey color to it. And that's what I wanted. If you have one of these turntables, I'll tell you, this is the time to use it because this is a circular painting. And so the more you can get the background in a circle, the better off you will be. Okay, I come down in here. Now remember, it doesn't have to all have all the color on this fire. If you just get the plate covered with some color, that's good. I would even leave a little white in the middle. I did on mine, and I was glad I did because then I could build up the color as I wanted on the second fire. You can go over the tail. You can go over the fish as you're doing this. Now, the first time, go around and then wipe off your brush. Did you see how I did that there? And you're going to pull back the paint into the bulk. So take the area where it's white still and pull it into the bulk of the paint, and that will distribute it pretty evenly. Then get on the end of your brush and just feather, okay? Then I'm going to pick my next color, and I think I'm going to go with the Cerulean. I like this. Look at that color. Isn't that gorgeous? I want this to look like blue, deep blue, gorgeous sapphire blue. And I'm going to have to paint this way up here. So you turn the plate, oh, too much, need oil. You turn the plate so that you can paint towards yourself. You don't always have, just because it's a round thing that you're painting on, doesn't mean that you have to paint in a round the same direction the whole time. You can change it, and that's good. But try to keep it flowing around the fish, okay? That's all I'm saying. And see here, I'm pulling it away from the fish because it's kind of dark by the fish. So you want to pull the paint away from wherever you don't want it and move it to where you do want it. Don't waste paint. If it gets too thick when you put it on, just, keep playing with it and keep pulling it around until you get it to distribute. And like I said, this water can have, see how that's kind of uneven? That's fine. It doesn't have to be perfectly smooth. It's not perfectly smooth water. They're swimming in it, so it's obviously moving. Okay, and just kind of dab the color where you want it. Think about shadows because these animals are casting shadows in the water. And like here, I'm coming up on his tail because you'll be able to see his tail, the water through his tail. So I want it to have a little shimmer. And then here, I don't want these edges to be quite so pronounced. So I'm just going to pull them out a little bit. There we go. And I get on the edge, and there we go. Now I'm going into my darkest, my navy. If you have navy, great. If you don't, whatever you have that works. See how dark that is, though? That's a very dark color. And it will go on dark. I've got quite a bit of oil on my brush, and it's going on dark. And that's kind of what you want. Now, you may have to mix your navy with your cerulean, or whatever color you're using, cobalt, and paint it on. If you want it to blend a little better, that's fine. Or you can put the dark on like I am, work it up into the lighter color there a little bit, and then just take your lighter color like the cerulean and just kind of go over it like this, and that will pull them together too. Okay. The nice thing about the piece I was working on is I said it was an ashtray, and it had, oh, that's really dark, but I think that's going to be okay there. And it had really cool handles, kind of ashtray, you know, the ashtray itself where you put the cigarette sticking out. And I loved it because I could rest my hand on it while I was working. If you don't have that luxury, but you need to rest your hand while you're working, you can also use a ruler across, and that will allow you to rest your hand while you're working if you're a little bit shaky like I am from time to time. Okay, now I did leave it really dark over here, and I kind of really like that. So I'm trying to get that same kind of darkness around over here a little bit. This is my lily pad. You can kind of shape it with your blue. You know, you don't have to leave it the way you want it. And there. Now, I'm wiping off on my towel. Did you notice that? Because I want to blend this a little bit. And just wiping a little of that dark color off sometimes helps that to blend. There we go. Yeah, I kind of like that there. I want it to be moody, closer to the edges. And I'm going to go, I'm up here. You can't see it. Let me pull it down a little. There. I just wanted to get, it looked like strokes. You could tell they were strokes, and I'd rather have it look more like water. Here, let me just do this here. Okay. You're going to have to play with it a little. Once, though, you are done playing with it, it's going to start to dry if you use the medium I do, which is a drying medium. So try to get it the way you want it as soon as possible. Now, I'm going to put a little bit of blue back here just as a color to remind myself that I want to make that in shadow. I added a little more of the lighter blue in. Squint your eyes, that helps a lot too. If you squint your eyes, you will see how it looks. And I think it really helps. I have to admit, it really helps me anyway. And you might want to bring that lumpy look up in this area too. I kind of think it's pretty. Now, really take some time with the background, because once you fire this, the first fire, it's going to set you up for the next fire. So if you don't like it, change it. If you like it, great. What I did on my first fire, because I thought it was a little too lumpy in spot, so I'm going to take this sponge, and I'm going to put my finger in the middle. You can see I've been using it for blues. And I'm just going to pull the sponge around it, then pull my finger out. So I have a nice little pad there. And you can use that just to lightly pad maybe the edges of some of the dark blues so it's not quite so dark. Or over here, you might want to pad it a little. It will take off some colors, so it's up to you. I really kind of like the way it's looking, so I'm not going to do too much. I'm going to take my Q-tip, and I'm going to start wiping the color off the fins of the fish first, and off the fish, because I don't want any of that blue on my fish. All right. And here I'm going to have to create fins a little bit with this. Turn it around and just pull, because you don't want that blue to harden up on there. It'll look bad. Here I'm going to do the same thing over here. Just get the, I don't necessarily want the blue on. This one I do. Okay. And right here, I think I've got some blue. Yep, and there, and a little bit there. Okay. Alrighty. So now I'm going to stay with the same brush. I love this brush. It is one of my favorites. And I'm really going to clean it out. And in order to do that, I'm going to kind of, well, you know what? I think I need one more thing. I think I'd like it a little darker right here. So let's do that now, because later on it won't be possible. Think of it as, I don't know if you've ever been to a blue hole, But when I was a kid, the blue hole always amazed me. We always went down to Ohio to see it in Castilla. And think of it as looking down into a hole, okay? But almost like there's light at the other end. That's kind of what I'm going for. Let me get that off, okay. Alrighty. Oops, let's do it with a Q-tip because I don't want to smear that too much. There we go. Now, the other thing that's important to do right now is to start shaping your lily pads exactly the way you want them a little bit so you can see what they look like before you get too far along. And here I'm just going to have to get way back and just feather real lightly there. And you'll notice things as you go along with this there. Yeah, I think that'll be okay, because remember, you're going to put a coat over this. It'll be like a wash, and so it will clean things up for you. Now, I go into my turpentine, and really clean my brush now, because I'm going to be using other colors. Rub it against the side of the bottle and what have you to really get the blue off, because that blue is extremely dark. So anytime you have a dark color like that, that's a good thing to do. And I'm going to take this sponge and I'm just going to tap a little here. I don't want to change anything else. There we go. Okay. Alrighty. Now I'm going to do my lily pads. You can do your lily pads a number of different ways. If you want them to have yellow on them, you can start with the yellow and just paint them all yellow this time. I'm going to take my egg, because that's my favorite, and I'm just going to put a little egg on them. And I'm just going to put it like around the edges, kind of leave the middle open. And then the next time I can kind of color all that up. I don't have to do it all this time. Okay, let's find another one that's kind of going to balance that out. I probably should have this 3 different places. So let's put a little yellow here. This is the first coat. So if you don't, just paint around the edges. Leave the center and pull it maybe a little bit towards the edge if you want. You don't have to though. And then maybe this guy just on the side here, right here, because he's on top of the one underneath, right? So I want that to show. If you get a little blue, don't panic. The reason I use this brush is because it has the rounded edges, and I think the rounded edges really help with giving me a watercolory look, which is kind of the way I like to paint. You don't have to paint that way. Okay, now I'm going into my moss. And if you want, you can add a little bit of like a Persian green to it, or some of that shading blue to it, because this is the undercoat, right? So I'm doing a full load. I'll show you here, a full load of moss on my brush and a little bit of the Russian on the side. I like the Russian green, if you can find it. It's pretty cool. And I'm just doing that here. Of course, I'm a big color fan. So if you're not into colors, you may not appreciate this. I'm going to put a little over here. This is called wet on wet. When you have it already wet and you take and you add a little color on top the wet and just lightly touch it and bring, blend it in. You kind of can do it on acrylics too. So that's the reason I like it. Oh, I don't have a dark green on here. Well, maybe I'll just do it with the navy then. Okay, so I'm going to take my moss green, full load, side load with the navy, and see what color I get that way. Oh, that's pretty. That's really pretty. And you know, if you do that with the colors you have and blend them, you know that the color is going to work. because you're using colors you already have in the piece. So here, I'm going to put this color along the edge here. It needs to be a little more navy. This is what I'm doing. Full load of moss, side load of navy. I'm not testing it on my tile either. I'm just going straight over. And I'm leading with the corner, or what would be a corner, but of course on these there isn't a corner. And I'm just filling it in. I'm not doing anything fantastic here. Here I already have the navy on there, so I'm just going to take my moss green and pull it out. Okay, and you just want to suggest things at this point. This will be the top, so I do want to pull things up that way a little bit, and then I probably want to take a little more navy and just there. So I remember that's the top. I'll pull it out a little. There we go. Okay. All right, those are my lily pads. That's all there is to it at this time. Now we're going to do the koi. This is the fun part. You can't do the koi. Well, you can do some of the koi with this brush, but I prefer to use either a 1/2 inch or a 1/4 inch. Oh, here, I have one here that I don't use very often. Scharf, okay. They're Scharf brushes. So I'm going to start, and this part of his mouth here is going to be white. So when you're all done, you're going to go around the edge like this. And just keep turning your Q-tip and wiping as you go. You may have to change the Q-tip to the other end. There you go. Okay. And you're going to want to, when you're done, check underneath to make sure that it's okay. Now here, we're going to paint. I'm going to start with the 1/4 inch. I just feel I have more control with a smaller brush. I want them both to have yellow-orange on their face. But this part here in the front, very front, is white. So I'm just going to paint a very light yellow-orange. I'm not even going to, I'm just touching it on. I'm not really blending it a whole lot. I'm just kind of putting the color on. Okay. And that's the color I want on his face. And you do want it to be smooth, so you are going to have to go back over it a little bit. Clean out your brush, because I don't know, depending on what colors you're using, if you're using a yellow for this, then you're going to have to clean it off before you put your orange on. And I'm just going to take my orange, and I'm just going to put some markings on him. Now you can look at the one I have there to get an idea of what markings I did. They don't have to be the same. No two fish are the same. And this is his fin right here. Okay. Is that not simple? Very, very simple. Okay, and then we're going to shift to the 1/2 inch. I find that the bigger brushes give you a better fill. I'll show you what I mean by that. Okay, so here's my bigger brush. I'm going to have to flip over my paper towel. It's a mess. Okay, let me move this off. Here's my bigger brush. This is a 1/2 inch. I want a square shader and I want a metal one, because I don't find I get as sharp and as clean lines with the quill, okay? So I'm going to take it and I'm going to just put it in a 1/2 load. No full load. You don't always need to full load, just a 1/2 load, and really build it up on there. I could put a little red if I want a little red in there. That's entirely up to me. But you can wait on the second fire for the red. You don't have to do it now. Now this is for the fin. That's it. It's just touching it. So you just want the edge on that, and then you're just going to touch it, touch it, touch it, touch it, touch it. That's better, much better. Okay, I'm not going to play with it. And then I'm going to go and take more of that orange. And I'm going to start building the colors I want to see in his background. So here, now I didn't give you colors to put on there because I figure you're all good painters. You can decide. You want them to be smooth. I'm still playing with this. I don't like it. This side especially. It just doesn't look right to me. That's a little better. It's a little better. Okay. And then I'm going to take and play with it here. Going to put it along there. You can put it anywhere you want if you have that picture in front of you. You kind of want it to look smeary in that it's been recently applied to him, and it's not a definite pattern. There we go. Okay, and then we'll put a little one down here. And we'll put a bigger one, a little one right here maybe. And I'm going to put a bigger one down here. Okay. Okay, that's driving me crazy. Ah, that helps. That helps. And then we'll just lightly go over it. There. Okay, and I want to clean up his body a little here. There. Okay, and clean up his body a little here. All right. Okay. Now for his tail, let's do his eyes. What am I doing right now? I'm just smoothing. There, okay. Now for his tail, we're going to use a liner. We're also going to use it for his eyes. So let's do his eyes next. Get those over and done with. You're going to take and put it in the black. And then go around this one. Fish don't have real interesting eyes. They're kind of dead eyes, I think. If you ever look at a fish. This one, though, seems to have a little bit of white around it. So I want to put a little bit of white around it. I'm going to use my Pico-Pay and very carefully wipe the white around it. Look at how that helps. Yeah, that helped a lot. Yeah, I like that better than my first one. Okay. Now, he has a spine going up his tail. I'm going to use my... Hang on. Got to move stuff. I tend to get it all bundled up here. I'm going to use my 1/4 inch. I'm just going to get a little bit of the orange on it. And I'm going to go that tail. And this is where if you have too much, that fin, if you have too much of your Sharpie on there, it's going to start to interfere. Okay, so I did the fin. I know what I can do there. I can take a little orange. Let me get this. Ah, it's still black. Okay. I'm going to do a little bit of orange on here and see if that'll help. Yeah, that's better. I don't like those stripes there. That's better. And now we're going to do his tail, and we're just going to get the orange and a little bit of yellow. Just keep mixing and just pull out. You don't have to do a lot on this one. And see if you like it the next time. The next time you'll really shape it. Okay. Now for this fin, you can use a Pico-Pay. And you're going to take and start at the base of that and just, that's not going to work. So let's try it with the, pointer. You're going to just pull up. Yep, works better with the pointer. Can you see what I'm doing? Let me do a little more orange on it. This is really hard to see. Let me pull it up there. See what I've done? I'm just pulling that fin up. Then you can put a little bit of, come on, you can take and put a little bit of turpentine on it and just pull it up too. And if you clear it off with turpentine, pat it really well, you can get that more of a little thin look to it. That's all you want at this time, okay? Okay. That's better. Now let's go over and do our other fish. Hopefully this guy's easier. Alrighty. I'm going to start with the fins because that's what I did the last time, and I really liked them when I started with them. I don't know why this guy is. You want to come along the side a little bit. There. And you want to do the same thing here. And just pull the color. You want a little more color at the base. Now, why wasn't he hard? Maybe if I put a little more color at the base here, that's a little better. Okay. Now, this guy's almost all orange-ish when I did him. So I took my bigger brush, my 1/2 inch. I'm going to start with my yellow-orange on the face because the face is a little bit darker. If you don't have yellow-orange, just take you take a mixing yellow, for example, and mix it with an orange, and you should get the color you want. There we go. And then just kind of try to make that smooth. I want to keep his mouth. And then he's going to have a white spot, and then he's going to have some orange up here. Well, but first we're going to kind of make his whole body sort of an orangey color. So, oops, here we go. I'm just plopping the color around. This is a yellow orange that I have. There we go. And then along his spine here, where we're going to have those fins, I'm just going to put a little bit of dark now so that we can easily see those fins. That fin, rather. And I'm going to start putting the color on him now. With him, I'm going to add a little more red into it, or if you had yellow red, you could add a little more yellow red into it, because he's a kind of a speckly kind of guy. So just dab it on a little bit, dab it back. There we go. And I'm going to put a little up in here. And I'm going to put a big amount right here. And maybe a little on his tail. There. Now I can go back and define it a little better. There. And I will take, see, I can't tell, and this is the problem when you use the Sharpies and things, is I can't tell if his face is the way I want it to be, smooth, or if it's, there, I'm just going to smooth it because I want it to be smooth. There, okay. And we're going to take some black on our scroller. Oops, not very even there. Roll the scroller, there we go. Huh. My black is old. It's been sitting there forever, so there we go. And then we're going to take this Picopay, and wipe out around it. And if things start to smear on you, just keep wiping. Wipe it off on your towel, come back and keep wiping. Wipe it off on your towel, come back and keep wiping until you get exactly the look you want. And then go to the other side and do the same thing. The secret is not to give up. If you keep wiping, you will get it. Almost, see, almost. My black smeared a little. Okay. There, got it. Okay. I need another one of these guys. Okay, and now we're going to do the tail. Back on the scroller, clean it off. We're going to use the scroller. We're going to go into our orange and just lightly up. He's going to have more of a white tail, but I want a little bit of color in it so that I can manage it. And then we're going to take and flip it around and make it real. There we go. Not quite that much. And I want this to be this way. That's better. There. Now I'm going to come back in with my blue if I can. I don't know if I can. So what I might do is just take my brush that's dry right now and just... Actually, I kind of like it. It should be okay. Let's see about this one here. Oops, come here. I think I want this to be more blue. I'm not going to play with it too much. If I play with it too much, I'll wreck it. Oh, we need to do the spine down the back of them. Okay. I'm just going to take my Pico-Paste because we've got enough color there. Keep wiping it up. And you kind of use the side of the top of it. They get smaller near the end. There you go. There we go. That's a very fine looking fin, if I do say so myself. Okay, see that fin there? You can almost see it from up above. Okay, so now you take your erasers or your Q-tips, and you go through and you make sure. Is this shaped right? Okay. Is this shaped right? Okay. Is that shaped right? Do you have the right look on it? Do you want this to be a little more white on the bottom here? You can do that to define it a little better. Is this well defined? Here, there. Okay. Go here. Okay, this is what I came up with. And I check on the back, make sure that I didn't get any paint. Pick up those brushes, keep painting, and see you next time.